you know, for the past 36, 37 years, maybe 38 years, every time the price of fuel goes up, I get the idea that I'm going to build an ultralight. Something that's fuel efficient, something that, you know, you can go throw a couple of dollars worth of regular car gas in and go fly for an hour. I've doodled, I've made drawings. I've got about 38 years worth of doodled drawings. And I started pulling them out the other day, and surprisingly they pretty much all look like the same airplane. I've got the same design on the mind. Just a few of the little doodles. There was one. Let's see. There's another one. I've got two drawers absolutely full of drawings. Back over on this wall over here on the other side. Some of the fuselage truss structure. I've got wing drawings. Those two drawers over there are full of doodles and drawings. So I pulled some of them out. Some of them are, like I said, 37 years old or so, and started playing with it again. And like I said, they typically, all my doodles turn out looking pretty much the same. So, you know, I started looking around. Now I think I've got enough wood here in the shop to build up a set of wings. So I think in the spring, well, right now, this is early March, and up through the spring, I think I'm going to build a set of wings, see how it goes, keep myself occupied doing that, and then maybe a fuselage. From the very get-go, it was my intention to power the airplane with a Volkswagen engine. I know that the four-stroke engines are powerful, and they're light, but I don't like the longevity, basically, of the two strokes. Did I say four-stroke? I meant two strokes. I like the longevity and the reliability of the four-stroke. So it was always my intention to go with a Volkswagen type engine. These are basically some of the dimensions of a Volkswagen engine. There are several manufacturers of Volkswagen engines for aircraft. I think Great Plains builds a Volkswagen engine and a half Volkswagen engine. I'm leaning more towards the half Volkswagen engine. Hummel engines make a half Volkswagen engine. Global. What's his name? Leonard Mulholland makes a better half Volkswagen engine, or sells drawings for a better half Volkswagen engine. Great Plains, did I mention that? Maury, Hummel. Some of the airplanes with the Volkswagen engine would be the Mini Max, the Legal Eagle, the High Max, the B-Light, to name a few. So I've kind of started looking at some of those designs on the on YouTube. I contacted Great Plains and got their video and drawings on their Volkswagen engine conversion. I just sent an order in to Leonard Mulholland, who does the better half Volkswagen engine, and I should be getting his videos and drawings on how he does his conversion. That should be interesting. So anyway, I've kind of been looking at how some of these guys are doing their ultralights. I've spent my life building, rebuilding, repairing Cubs, Champs, T-Crafts, Pit Specials, those kind of airplanes. I've never messed with any real ultralight type airplanes. I have flown a couple, and they fly pretty good, but I'm thinking, you know, in today's economy where avgas is $5.50 a gallon, maybe it's time I went ahead with my design and built up a little ultralight with maybe a half Volkswagen engine and see how it goes. So through some of my research, I found out that some of these, or most of these ultralight guys, or a good many of them, are using the Clark Y airfoil. So I thought, well, you know, maybe I'll do the same thing. Just, you can't argue with what works. Thought about using a USA 35B type of an airfoil, same airfoil that goes on a Cub. Don't know if you can see that second wooden rib there, but that is a USA 35B. That wing rib up there is a Pete and Paul wing rib. That's the wing rib I used to build my first airplane years ago. Remnants of models on the wall. That top aluminum rib is a J3 USA 35B wing rib. Wing rib below that is the Pete and Paul. And as we go a little further, I don't know if we can see this or not. I don't know why we got off on wing ribs here. Oops, I just spilled my coffee. Pit Special symmetrical wing rib. I think that wing rib over there is a compression rib for the bottom wing of a Pitts. And this wing rib here, this aluminum wing rib, semi-symmetrical 23012, that wing rib, believe it or not, came out of Dwayne Cole's T-Craft. I knew Dwayne. He was a pretty neat guy. He lived here in Burleson. He would come out, fool around out at the airport. You know, he was a heck of a guy. Little Cub, rear one Sportster. So anyway, back to the ultralight. So some of the idea behind this particular layout is my physical size. To start with, I'm about 6'2", and I range in weight, depending on the season, anywhere from about 180 right on up to about 195, and it'll fluctuate up and down. So the ultralight that I would build for myself would have to be big enough to accommodate my size, and it would have to have enough wing area to lift that weight, my weight, on a small 32, 33, maybe 35 horsepower engine. So for lightness and strength, I settled on a 4130 chromoly fuselage, which can be built extremely light and extremely strong using mainly 5/8 tubing, 035 wall, half-inch 035 wall, 7/16 035 wall, maybe a little bit of 3/4, possibly 049 in some really heavily stressed areas, but not much of that. Like I said, the fuselage is going to have to be big enough to accommodate my size comfortably. And if it will fit me, it will fit, what, 90% of all the fellas out there wanting an ultralight. The wing, like I said, I settled on the tried and true Clark Y airfoil. Now the Clark Y airfoil is ancient. It's a million years old. Well, not that. Not really, but it's old. But it is a good airfoil. It's a heavy lifter, but it's a fairly draggy airfoil. Now, to build a light wing, you have to compromise in some areas. You can't use a solid wing spar because of the weight. So the first thing I considered was an I-beam wing spar using birch plywood as a shear web. That's still an excellent idea for a wing spar and can be built very lightly. But I think a lot of the guys I've talked to a friend of mine, Rick McGaw, who is building a ragwing Ultra Pete, and he's familiar with the way that the Mini-Max and the Legal Eagle and a bunch of the other ultralights, he's familiar with how they're built. And he tells me that basically nearly all of those guys, took the wing right off of the Mini-Max and adapted it to their airplane. But he said they use a shear web with caps on one side only to simplify the construction. And I've thought about that, and I thought, well, that's a pretty good idea. There's a lot of fellas building an airplane like this for the first time, are not going to be looking for a complex structure to build. So if I can build it light and extremely simple, that's what we're going to do, with some exceptions. Now, this is a Clark Y airfoil, but it's a caricature of a Clark Y airfoil. If you'll notice, a normal Clark Y airfoil, I forget what the percentage of the thickness is, 11%, maybe somewhere around there, 11% thick. Don't quote me on this. But on this particular airfoil, now I'm using a 57-inch cord. I just pulled that out of the air because that was a good figure to start with. It seemed to go well with the drawings that I've come up with for the fuselage that would fit me. So to get the strength that I need, you have to caricature the Clark Y airfoil in that you have to make it deep, real deep, in order to gather or garner the strength that you're going to need. So it almost looks like a cartoon airfoil, but apparently it works for the other guys. Now these particular measurements and all of this, they're strictly right out of the top of my head. I've talked to Rick and got an idea of what some of the other guys, how they're doing it, And so I'm kind of using a little bit of that and coming up with a rib structure that I think would suit this particular airplane. It's going to be built out of 1/4-inch cap strips. The nose block will be made out of 1/8-inch birch with 1/8-inch pine doublers, a 1/4-inch thick all the way around, to accommodate gluing on the leading edge skins. The shear web 1/8-inch. Now I've heard that they use butt joints along the length of the shear web. I don't know if I like that or not. I'm leaning more towards the 12-to-1 scarf joint. We'll see how it goes as the design progresses. For the front spar, I'm using, let's see, I think it's 7/8 by 1-inch caps up here, and then back here I think I'm using 3/4 by 7/8. So anyway, I'm in the design phase right now, getting ready to build up a jig. Instead of just a hinged flap type aileron like the Pete and Paul uses, or some other design like that, where it looks something like this. Let's say that's the spar, this being the spar of the aileron, and it being hinged right there. That is a typical Pete and Paul aileron. It works, but you know, it's ancient. So I thought, well, I'll just throw in a freeze aileron. It's not going to be that much heavier. I think I can make it extremely light. And one of the things we'll gain is maybe not so much of a propensity towards adverse yaw. So, you know, I will buckle to that little piece of, well, you can't really call that modern design because that's been around a million years too. But anyway. So another thing is I'm busy building up what is going to be the router jig. So that I can use the aluminum template, put it on the 1/8-inch plywood, drill the holes, roughly cut it out, come over, put it in the jig on these pins, and just router the thing out, and each and every nose block, aileron nose block, aileron well block will be the same, perfectly the same. This section will be cut out. This will be 1/4-inch pine, white pine. Same with the aileron well block. Will be made out of 1/8-inch white northern pine. It's light, and it can be used as a substitute for aircraft spruce. Back over there, covered up underneath that sheet, or my wing spars that I'm going to cut up. There's about $800 worth of spruce back there. But anyway, yeah, I'm really seriously thinking about doing this summer. So there you have it, just a short little video about what's going on. We'll see what happens. Check back regularly because I intend to videotape the construction. I'll be doing the wing rib jig. I'm starting on that now, the layout. Build the wing rib jig and start building some ribs, and yeah, we're gonna build a wing. Yeah, so just for grins, I don't know if that picture, that drawing up there shows up very well, but that is the drawing for this aerobatic airplane that I was building here. I may finish sometime. So just for grins, we may just look it over a little bit. Yeah, I really should finish this airplane. And I may do that at some point. Okay, that's enough playing around. So, yeah, just check back regularly. I'll be posting videos as we go along. Hopefully you'll find something of interest in it. I know this is stuff like this takes a specific audience. You know, most people are not going to be interested in this kind of stuff. But gearheads and guys that love to hang out in the shop and work with their hands and build, I think they'll get a kick out of this. So anyway, there we have it.